Devotees, we are now in the month of May. The month of May is called Indian Heritage Month. Why? On the 30th of this month, we'll be celebrating 180 years since our forefathers came to this part of the world. And it's good to sit down, I always tell you that. Speak with the older folks in the village, in the family and so on, and find out about life long ago. Find out about the history, what caused them to come down here. Life was hard in India. Most of us came from UP, which is the northern part of the northern state. In the state of Bihar is a poor state, very, very poor. African slavery was abolished, right, in 1834, okay? Then you had a demand for sugar was so high in Europe, they wanted sugar. When the Africans were freed, they left the plantations and gravitated to the urban areas to get lighter work around Porcelain and things and so on. And that's how they developed. With the demand for sugar, devotees, the British were ruling India already. They know Indians could work hard. They know Indians are docile, humble people. You could talk to them. You could get them to do what you want. They're humble and all these things and so on. It was already poured over there. And they came up with this to bring them down here. Now you imagine, an Indian, they know nothing in English, right? And you telling here, Kenya to Trinidad to plant sugarcane for 5 years, you could come back. They tell them they carry them to Trinidad. Chini means sugar, the land of sugar. Life sweet down here like sugar. People have promised you across, it's greener grass, There we go, boy. It ain't easy so, right? And so most of them opted to come in with the idea for 5 years, and after they could go back. Put your thumbprint, right? They put their thumbprint, you sign a contract. Leaving the various ports, devotees coming across. They travel through that period. That water is called the Kala Pani. Kala means what? Black, the black water. Imagine you're in a ship which do have an engine. And it taking you how much? I think something like, it's about 3 months I think that journey took to come here. Right? 3 months it took to come. You depend on the wind jammers you call them. Many died on that trip. Many died. There was no privacy. And Indian people are very careful about your personal issues and so on. Hardly any privacy and so on. Two faiths came, Hindus and Islam. And they became Jahaji Bhai on that boat. When they bring them down here, they quarantine them like animals on Nelson Island. The coolies on them, you call them. Free from disease and things. Bring them to Port of Spain, allocate them to estates and so on. And that is what happened with our forefathers. My grandfather picked up his 4 sisters and he come down. Yeah, they say he went to buy sugar and he never go back. I don't know, all kind of thing went on. Some in 1873 he came. I am 3rd generation from my forefathers on my father's side. Okay? And we had devotees, again those who came, they could identify with their lineage and so on. Okay? My grandfather was a Jodha Prasad Maraj. My father's first cousin was Ramraj Pandit from Arima, Pandit Basiv Sharma from Curep. Okay? The you call him Betadilan from Sawa. Arangwes, the old man, the Ranchander Baba, he was my guru. Right, so what I'm showing you, you could have checked the lineage coming down. It's not we can mix up, All right? And when they came here, allocated to the various estates, what they could do, it was not as what was promised. You had overseers waking you up 2 o'clock in the morning, nobody have a clock. My brother used to be, who died now, John, they used to be singing that song. When the overseer come in and wake you up, you know what time it is you get up. You live with flambeau, you're going because you can't cut cane when it's sun hot. You're out there, right? You know the song, eh? Little Mati. And you had the copy of it? Our Saradar, you had that copy. Yeah. Right? This is about to sing that song. And so devotees, they toiled and they worked, and it wasn't easy. They stayed in the same barracks the African slaves stayed in. Wasn't that you want to make for them, you know? So could you imagine? It's board barracks, and it has space between the board. It had no privacy for females, all these things and so on. You're done down here, you have to make it do. They came to other places, Guyana, you have Grenada, St. Lucia, Jamaica, Fiji, all these places they came. We're speaking about in Trinidad. When the 5 years were up, you couldn't leave the estate, you know, you had to have a pass to leave the estate, all kind of thing. They lock you up and all that thing and so on. Just think about it. You know, it wasn't far from slavery. The overseers used to beat them. Them long horseshoes, they have this to beat them with that. And when the 5 years were up, some went back, and those who opted to stay, they promised them land. And they gave them all this swampland that was unworkable. But remember this, if you give an Indian nothing, you can make something out of it. Watch and see what will happen to this country from now on. You will see what will happen with this country right now. Yeah. We are like that. That is part. It tells you the blood that flows in us is from the rishis and the munis, from the great divine devotees. Right? You are determined to make, and after 100, and you know what they do? They take the same swampland, planted short crops in the dry season, and rice in the rainy season. And they start a bill. I will put aside my little penny and 6 cents and shilling, in those days was English currency. My son will not have to work hard like me. I will buy land so he will have land to build a house. This is how we to sacrifice for children. Their sacrifice was more. As you say, they band their belly. Yes, so it's for to see the children better off. And remember this, you see what we enjoying today is the sacrifice of the forefathers. Although they gone devotees, that's why the whole Hindu calendar, to me the most important period is Pitra Paksh, when you remember the ancestors. Right? You have to pay gratitude to them. You have to thank them what we enjoy now. And due devotees again, to the free education that was long ago again, they couldn't, no girl children, they go to school, you know. Your duty is to wash clothes, cook, iron, and so on. And when the time comes, look for a good husband to settle down. That was the normal issue of the Hindu home. Right? When the Hindu school started, can I tell you, we had a Hindu college in Sant Grande. That's what they started to sell the girl children, because a Hindu college. Plenty females got educated, boys too, and so on. Education is the key to take you out from suffering and frustration. And we again keep pounding the same thing. Today you have so much opportunities to educate yourself. A lot of young children not taking advantage of it. Right? Not everybody will be academically okay. It has skills, it has talents, it has so many areas you could get involved in that you could make an income out of it, an honest income to elevate your life. You just sit down and wait for handout. And youths, take advantage. Now is the time to do it. Learn as much as you could learn. Not only academics, any skill, any talent, whatever be it. There are plenty of opportunities to learn. And so devotees, we are able today, look at today after 180 years, so many doctors and engineers and you name it, professionals come out from the Indian community. Right? But what does keep our people alive again? Your dharma and your culture. Right? They stood devotees firm. When in times devotees offer, they were downtrodden and so on. They will take out their Ramayana and read a future Upayas and Doha. The first opportunity they get, Hanumanji, they hold on to him. And he gave them that endurance, that fortitude to move along in life. They needed the things that they will survive, just as migrants from here going to other parts of the world. When you go over there in America, Canada, England, all over, you have me lunch hockey there too, you know. Are you going to make your roti? Yeah, cultural and jarna and everything and so on. Right? So this is how our food, their clothing, their musical instruments, their language, the language has been died out because they didn't want to recognize it. You had more than 45% were East Indians in Trinidad, but it was not taught in any school. If you people know Hindi from the community and from your father and grandfather and so on and this way in the little Kutian thing. But they say it was taught, a place like Texas, they teach in Hindi in the school. Just tell me that. And that's why we have lost the spoken language, but we read Hindi and all these things and so on. If you go to Suriname, a 5-year-old will tie up with Hindi. Think about it. But that doesn't mean that you cannot follow your Dharma, right? You have so many very strong and beautiful Hindus here in our land that they call Trinidad Little India. They say if you want to learn about Hinduism, come to Trinidad. Because we tend to maintain the tradition even more than across there. When they came and they saw Ramlila in Sant Grande, they said, we don't have any more in India. Maidan Ramlila, you know, original, how it's supposed to be. This is how it's done here. Yes, how we organize and carry on the culture and all these things and so on. So, to keep your people alive, your traditions are very important. You come from the great rishis and the munis. Maintain that pure blood. Live for the sake of your Dharma. Your Dharma will protect you.